Hi everyone, my name's Dan Webb and I'm editor of Match Fishing magazine. So I spend an awful lot of my working life out with some of the very best match anglers out there, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to pass on a few tips about getting your pole rollers set up correctly. So now if you're a seasoned match angler, please don't just go switch straight off, because I think there's a few bits and tips in there that I think even very high level anglers might be able to learn something from. So first up, why is getting your pole rollers set up correctly important? Well, first of all, I think it will catch you more fish because you're going to have less fish come off. You're going to make things a lot easier for yourself. You're going to make feeding easier, especially with pole pots, and also it can give you less back problems as well. I think particularly when you're fishing the longer pole, 14 or 16 metres, how often do you get people say, oh, fish 14, 16 metres all day and my back, it's absolutely killing me. I think, well, really, that shouldn't happen nowadays. We've got such good seat boxes where we can get them all set up level and correct. We all know about getting your knees the right height to prevent back pain, but I think pole rollers is just one of those. Pole roller placement out there just can be one of those reasons that can cause back pain if it's not set up correctly. So right, first up I have to say there's three main things to consider when getting your pole roller set up. First of all is to have your roller very slightly off to one side and staggered for the angle that you're fishing your long pole line. So what you want to be doing is striking and bringing your pole off to one side before you ship back. You find that if you've got your pole roller directly behind you, you end up striking and you can't really do an awful lot with your pole without kind of creating a little bit of slack line or pulling the fish up a little bit too high, making things tricky for yourself. So if you're right-handed, that means you bring your pole off to your left-hand side normally. So you want to strike, bring your pole off to one side, lower it back down to the water, and then you can start bringing your pole back, and it is straight behind you at that point there that you want your pole roller. Now, second thing is, that's the angle covered, is the distance behind you. So if I just pop these sections on, fortunately I couldn't have them on from the start because my garden's not big enough. So right, the distance behind you that roller wants to be is pretty much on the balancing point of your pole. So this balancing point will be the same distance behind you whether you're fishing 13, 14 or 16 metres. It's once you're fishing closer in than that this balancing point does change a little bit. But what you really want is when you got, this is 13 metres I've got here, is where your pole's perfectly balanced. You can see, look, I can hold it flat over both hands, and there, right there, is that roller. So what you'll find is if you've got it perfectly on that distance, as you're shipping out, you won't get the point where we've all had it where your pole almost drops off the end and your pole tip shoots up into the air, you lose all your bait, you tangle your rig. You've also had it where, oh, there we go, good example there, whilst you're shipping out and you've reached the balancing point of your pole, you've got everything under control, but the roller is still there and underneath your pole where you can then bash it, knock it, and it gets in the way. So if you get the position of that roller bang on that balancing point, you just find things will be a lot more fluid and a lot easier. So now, third point is the height of your pole roller. So the way I see it is, once you're playing your fish or you're shipping in, you've got your pole on your roller, you want to be shipping with your pole across your knees. But unfortunately, if you've not got the height of that roller correct, you could end up with your pole far too high above the water, and you soon tell people who've got their roller too low, they end up shipping back kind of like that to keep the pole tip down. If you're doing that, that is a recipe for back pain. If you're doing that all day fishing 14 or 16 metres, it's gonna hurt by the end. So what you want, pole on the roller, over your knees, your pole tip just above the water. That way, you can almost use your knees as like a third pole roller. Just makes things a lot easier. Now the final point is obviously then where you position your last roller, which obviously I can't demonstrate, my garden's not big enough. But once you've got your 13, 14 or 16 metres and you're shipping it back, once you get to the point you start feeling the pole start to kind of go up, where you can feel like the weight on the back of it bending over. It's at that point there that you want to put your second pole roller, and that wants to be, so you've got your pole on your knees, the first roller there, and you might just lift it up slightly so it's just off your knees. That's where it's then going to hit that last roller, and then you can carry on then chipping back. So if you think about those three main factors that I spoke about to get your first roller set up, then after you've done that, then set up your second roller, you're going to find things are going to run really smoothly. You're not going to have any problems with losing fish, losing bait out of pole pots.